Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, happy Monday to all across the Delaware Valley. How about it? Anthony Gargano Show. Lots to get into. London. Little Eagles drama. We got to talk about it all. Big weekend and missing Drew Holiday. That's all on the table. The Anthony Gargano Show brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Go to check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop into your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial. All right. Philadelphia takes over London. It was, by all accounts, 20-1 Phillies fans. There was a point yesterday when, I guess, Met fans were trying to get a chant going, let's go Mets, let's go Mets. And it got completely drowned out by let's go Phillies, let's go Phillies. It was awesome. What a weekend. I mean, it was really cool about, and I think it shows you a lot of different things. One, something special is happening. There is we talk about it daily, about the relationship between this fan base and this ball club. And it's something to just behold. It also speaks of the Philadelphia sports fan and how we love to travel. And all travel is an indication of what it means to us. So you get all these people going to London for the first time and experiencing another culture through baseball. I have to tell you, I thought MLB did a great job, man. I love what they did. They celebrated the sport. They had batting practice on Friday, like we talked about it here. We went live to London. I thought the stadium looked cool. A little bit, I guess a lot of guys talked about it reminded them of Montreal's Olympic Stadium. I thought it showed well. I thought the fans I thought it was cool. I was following on social media, and you could see all the videos, and it just looked great. It looked fantastic. It just was a great weekend where we were on display. This was a weekend in which Philadelphia drew top billing. It was funny. It was like a Philly party, and the Mets were just a guest, which is interesting, right? Like all New York was worried about Dodgers, Yankees, and the big series that was up in the Bronx, and the Mets were really an afterthought. Now, obviously, because they're not any good, that's a part of it, but it was clearly a Philadelphia party and a Phillies party. I love, by the way, how like during the game they're talking to Topper and you're getting the whole feel about, what was it like over the weekend. And of course, we remember when the coaching staff went into Passyunk Avenue, the pub, the Philly pub in London, and there was Larry Bowa and there was Chase Utley and there was Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Rob McElhenney and everybody else. And it was just this big celebration of the Phillies and of Philadelphia. Very cool. I loved it. As far as all the field's concerned, it's a shame. Walker, Taiwan pitched really well yesterday. He got into a groove up until he got in some trouble. Phils go down. It was one of those it was one of those games of 162. The interesting thing about them is, though, they never get beat up to the point where they're out of a game, which is rare in baseball. Even the best teams will get skunked, right? Will get lose 7-1, 8-1, and it's just not their day for that game. Not the Phillies, not this team. They start after the off day today, another fascinating week. You look at London, and that was something special, something completely unique. You come home, you go to Fenway, and then you go to Baltimore and Camden Yards. What a week of baseball that's going to be. Obviously, Boston, I'm sure to be a ton of Phillies fans going up to Boston. And then over the weekend at Camden Yards, I'll be honest with you, I would love to go to Camden Yards this weekend to see Phillies Orioles. That's a great trip. That's a fun weekend. It's just part of this summer of love, how we've fallen in love with baseball again and this team, which is special. We'll talk all about it today. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk to Zach Berman, who covers the Eagles for our esteemed All PHLY Eagles show. Zach and Bo Wolf do such a great job covering this team. One of the stories of minicamp was about the offense, right? And so last week, when Jalen is asked about the offense, he said, well, it's 95% new, and, it's a completely a different offense, which, quite frankly, leads you to believe, well, what does the coach have to do with Kellen Moore's offense? So a lot of questions and softball questions were thrown at Jalen about Nick Sirianni. And I don't know if it's Jalen has a very odd personality, but it was like pulling teeth for him to say anything positive about Sirianni and his relationship with the offense, his status of coach. Like, there was no, I've been doing this a long time, right? And during these news conferences, there's always softball questions. And all the softball questions are meant is to get the conversation started. That's what it's about. It's just a way to get somebody talking, and then through the softball questions, you navigate the interview, right? And then you start to kind of dive deeper, but you always start on the surface. So the questions were completely surface questions, which lend itself to easy answers. Yeah, well, Nick is, he's, him, he'll have his fingerprints all over it. Nick will do a great job, whatever. Platitudes. But Hurts didn't go the platitude route, which is completely interesting and eye-opening. What is their relationship like? Is it a Hurts? Is that just who Jalen is? He's a strange kind of cat. Like, he's never been a guy that's kind of open and warm and has a big dialogue. He's, quick answers, doesn't really say much. And this is kind of who he is, which none of it matters if he's on the field performing. The only thing that you read into it, and this is what a lot of people have surrounding the Eagles are wondering about, is what's the relationship between Hurts and Sirianni? We always talk about the quarterback and the coach and how you're married. Even Belichick, who came from the other side of the ball, and Brady, right? Like, that was always Andy and Donovan, Andy and Mahomes. There's always the coach and the quarterback marriage. Well, is this a marriage? Because it sure doesn't feel like one. So this is something I'm dying to talk to Zach about and give his insights. He's very close to the situation. So we'll talk to Zach about that. And last night, NBA Finals, Dallas played much better, as I expected, but no match, as Boston still kind of had their way. They were really never in doubt. There was a couple times when it looked like in the second half that Dallas was going to charge and kind of take the lead, and it never materialized because of one man. It wasn't Tatum, even though he had a good night as a distributor. It wasn't Jaylen Brown. It wasn't Derek White. It was Drew Holiday. The best player on the floor was Drew Holiday. He was sensational last night. 26 points. He had 11 rebounds, 3 assists. And you start to think about, as the Sixers begin this momentous offseason, about filling out a roster around their 2 best players and how the 2-star kind of model is back in vogue in the NBA, and players like Drew Holiday and Derek White, right, come into, and Horford come into play, and their roles, how vital they are. I mean, he's been the best player in the series. Quite frankly, through the 2 games, he's the MVP. He had a terrific game 1, and then he wins game 2 last night. And you think back to 2013. Drew Holiday feels like he's been in the league forever. He's 34. He was traded from the Sixers to New Orleans for Nerlens Noel and a pick in 2013. Think about that for a second. That's 11 years ago that he was traded. 11 years ago. And here he is having a moment. One of the things that really, when you're looking at the NBA, and especially when you're taking young players, is you almost have to stick with them. I think that we've seen Lou Williams comes into his own as a super 6th man, right? As a guy who could fill it up. Why? He blossomed. His career blossomed. Sometimes we're too quick to discard without immediate dividends. So it's something to watch. We'll discuss that. Lots to get to. That's popping off, brought to you by Olipop. Get your favorite flavors of Olipop. The soda that's good for you. It tastes great. And you can get it at Wawa. Now, let's go to the boys. Good morning, JP. Good morning, VG.
Good morning.
Happy Monday, boys.
It's good to have VG back in the studio.
Yeah, it's good to be out in the world.
You were like wandering the city yesterday. You were at the festival.
I did, yes. I was feeling good Friday, tested negative Saturday morning, but I kept my activities outdoors. There's so much outdoor stuff going on. Porch Fest and Odunde Festival. It was a good day, a good weekend in the city. I feel great. Miss you guys. It's horrible being on that remote.
Yeah, you feel disconnected, right?
Yeah, the timing's all off. You can't hop in.
Yeah, you feel disconnected from the whole thing. How was the watch party, JP?
It was a lot of fun. Andrew killing it, the producing gig, back-to-back days, but it was a lot of fun. Goal & Co., if you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. The food was phenomenal. I had this breakfast sandwich yesterday. I know you guys are not big on the scrapple, but I was loving the scrapple, egg and cheese, bacon jam. It was cool. We were in an old church in Port Richmond.
Yeah.
Like it's converted into a bar, which is kind of a weird feeling. Yeah. But they did a good job. So next watch party.
I always like that look, though, that old converted church. Yeah. Like, it's got that vibe.
It's good drinking beers in an old church. Yeah. Something feels good about it.
It's got good vibes, too.
The bro was drinking Guinness with John Foley in a pew. It was so funny.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Cool. What was it like? I know it was packed. The people were into it.
Oh, yeah.
London, fellas, a huge success.
Yes.
A success for Major League Baseball and a success for the Phillies, that the Phillies were on display. Philadelphia took over London.
Super proud to be a Philadelphian. New York was an afterthought. They kept trying to inject the Mets kind of into the storyline, and there just wasn't any. It was all Phillies all weekend.
I will say it did feel like the Sunday game, there was more Mets fans than the Saturday game, but overall, the Phillies fans, we're just passionate people. This is a fun environment. We're international with this, so I just love the way we were just representing all weekend long.
No, it felt like the Mets were like a guest at the Phillies party.
Yes.
This is our house.
Yeah. Fanatic was everywhere. He was interrupting the broadcast. I mean, it was all Phillies all weekend.
Know what's nuts is like it felt like the locals. Now, I don't know. Obviously, we're going to get more of it because, there's a lot of local Londoners who like Philadelphia sports. But it felt like the Phillies were the choice for the Londoners.
Yeah, easily. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Because you're like,
you had a struggle to see a Mets.
Look at these people. I love these people. Well, like, what's not to love about us who just like a good time, we're not strangers to a pub?
Well, we talked about it before, like the whole soccer culture and just how fanatic they are with that sport. It reminds me a lot of how Philadelphians are because we're so passionate. We're always into it, even if it's the first inning or the ninth inning in a close game. Like, we are always into it. We're passionate, and it resembles a lot to their culture, how they treat soccer.
And we're like, we're good stonebreakers. So are the Brits. There's nothing better than a guy walking around with that shirt on. It was like, basically the Brits had a 13-0 colony lead. Like, that's great. He's walking around like, Londoners appreciate that.
13 colony lead. How great was that shirt? That was an awesome shirt.
Hilarious.
No, but you're right. The way they consume soccer, the chants. Like they did the Alec Bohm.
Yeah.
The Alec Bohm song. Like, that stuff's freaking awesome, man. That's how sports. And it's funny because we're sophisticated for being a young country. Obviously, all American sports other than soccer we own, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they celebrate sports pretty cool across the world.
Well,
and actually, I like the way they do it.
Not to mention, our star player, Bryce Harper, absolutely embraced the whole moment, whether it be the walk-up song or after hitting the home run, doing the slide, the soccer, or the soccer celebration. Like that, everything about the Phillies, they're going to love over there in London.
I didn't see that coming, the soccer celebration. That was great.
Dude, by the way, that had her. Andrew and I were talking about that. This dude slid on the dirt, not even on the grass. Bryce's knees definitely got a little bit of a burn there.
So it's funny, Saturday, because Saturday was the Bryce game, right? Hits the home run, the whole thing. And I got somebody hit me up on social media. Somebody hit me up with a DM about, so is Bryce number 2 when it comes to free agent / trade acquisitions, like of the biggest acquisitions? And I got to tell you, he said he number 2 besides Moses. And Moses brought a title. So Moses came over at the start of the 83 season. They went on to win. They should have won a couple, but they didn't win the one. I think Bryce surpasses everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's hard for one guy to win in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't hold the title thing against him. He's become the great face of the franchise.
No,
he loves it here. He embraced it, and he's had huge moments. Like, so was it any wonder that they go to London and he hits the big home run?
Nah, you knew that was, you knew it was happening.
Like he's against a lefty. Like
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You just knew it. I don't know. I want to say yes, but I don't know if we're so emotionally attached to this team and what's going on right now. The Moses and it's special. That was so special.
But it's a longer. You're going to have him over a way longer period of time.
I know.
We're in year 5 of Bryce, right?
Yeah, I mean, and he's giving you MVP. He's giving you,
He's a GM. He brings in so much talent.
I know, and he's embraced it. I don't think it's close. Like, so
wow, not close.
I don't think it's close. I know you said you're living in the moment.
You might be. I don't know.
Today, but Harper, Moses, Pete Rose, Lindros, Halladay
were your honorable mentions,
and then T.O.
T.O. I mean,
T.O.'s 6. If we were going to go top 5, he's almost looking out because Halladay throws a perfect game and a no-hitter, right? A playoff game no-hitter. Lindros gave you a whole career, right? Turned around the franchise, built the arena. Yep. Pete Rose brought the World Series.
So much energy. He really got them over the hump. That was a team that couldn't get over it. And Pete comes in, changes like their attitude or gives them a little kick in the ass.
Yeah. But of all those players, only Bryce and Lindros. Bryce are who then become established stars for longevity. Right?
I mean, the only thing with Bryce is just the championship because, listen, he's got the longevity now. He's like in his 5th season. He's got the stats. He's a polarizing player throughout the league. And, oh, by the way, he fits the DNA of the city. He passes the test while flying colors.
And he's clutch.
Exactly.
Dude, he's clutch.
So is Moses and so is Pete.
Okay, so Moses basically does it for 1 year, has a great second year, too.
Yes.
All right? Joined a great team, gets him over the hump.
Absolutely.
Pete, same thing. Joins a great team, gets him over the hump. Right? Like, you walk into a team with Schmidt, Boa, Luzinski, Carlton, McBride, the whole thing, right? Maddox. Right? So they were a good team. Whereas Bryce comes in, it's just Bryce. And then the whole thing gets built around him.
Would you guys consider Moses in the early 80s a top 15 player in the league?
Yeah. He was the best big man in the league.
Okay.
He was top 3.
I mean, yeah, it was.
No, I mean, it was him, Bird.
And maybe I'm too emotionally attached to those teams as a kid because that's the first winning I understand, Moses and Pete. So maybe I'm too emotionally attached to those.
You and I are contemporaries, so we had the same thing.
Yeah, but maybe you're like have a more realistic view of the way you're appreciating Bryce, where Moses and Pete are like, superheroes.
Yeah, because they were our childhood heroes. Yeah. I got to tell you, I think every time Bryce just shows up, like every moment, every time there's bright lights and he just shows up.
How does he? I don't understand how he does it. It's just when it's time when people's sphincters tighten up, he just thrives.
He thrives.
Yeah.
Like, here you are, right? And you're in London. I mean, I know it's not a playoff game, but it's different atmosphere. You're on this pedestal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you are, like, let's face it, he's the biggest name, Phillies and Mets. It's Harper, right? So it's a Harper show who's representing not just the Phillies, but all of Major League Baseball. And he shows up. He has the right things to say all the time.
Yep.
He has the right actions. And, oh, by the way, he gives you greatness.
He's a tourist. He's enjoying being a tourist. Yeah, he does.
The bats.
You're right. He knows the bats. He knows he's the draw. Like, he's the name everyone's promoting. And he comes through.
He loves it.
Yeah, he always panders to us as
So
fans
weird.
with the gear. I love that.
He-
So
he
unusual.
He loves it. He thrives with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's pandering as much. I don't. I think it's genuine. I think he likes to have fun with it.
He enjoys the
Right?
culture.
Like, I know that, people give Sirianni a hard time for wearing Philadelphia sports gear. And, for Bryce.
Who does that?
What's that?
Who does that? Who gives Sirianni a hard time?
Yeah, you do. You hate Sirianni. I'm looking forward to the clubhouse today when we get into the whole Zach Berman
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think Bryce. I can see why some people say it's pandering. It seems like to me, he's been looking for a city like this.
Yeah, he wants
he
to
was in
embrace
the
it.
Nationals, and that's not a baseball
Right.
town.
No.
They're like, this is what he was craving for his career, and he's just loving it.
Yeah,
Crazy sports town.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
That's I gotta tell you, that dude, I get so much joy out of him. I really do. Forever, I was a huge Massimo loved Mike Trout, right?
Mhm.
Big Mike Trout. I kept hoping that the Phillies would get Trout, and then obviously the Phillies get Harper over Machado, and he comes here, and I'm like, dude, Harper's the guy, like, to Massimo, like, and we have shared so much. Sharing with your 11-year-old the greatness of Bryce Harper is like Americana.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking back. This guy's always thrived with the pressure. He's been on Sports Illustrated, 16, 19? He doesn't know any life other than
No.
this pressure of baseball,
No.
and he's always come through.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
He's
He's just so interesting, man. So interesting. All right. We got lots to get to. All right. Zach Berman from the All PHLY Eagles show is coming up next. Lots of fun stuff to get to. JP, what do you got, buddy?
All right, guys, let's talk right now about our friends over at TrueMark Financial, ladies and gentlemen, because listen, in today's day and age, we hear everything that's going on in the news with banking. It could be a very scary world out there, but you want to make sure you have a bank or a credit union that's always behind your back. And that's why today we are recommending TrueMark Financial. When you join a credit union like TrueMark Financial, you become a part owner, which means all the profits come right back to you instead of going right to those shareholders. Better rates, lower fees, and a better return on savings with more flexible options with all the same digital tools and technology makes all of our lives easier. And TrueMark Financial is located here, right here in the Philadelphia area. That's the best part about it because we love to root for local. That's what we're talking about here today. That's why we love Bryce Harper because he's embraced Philadelphia and so has TrueMark Financial. They're headquartered right here in Fort Washington and they have 24 branches here in the Philadelphia area. So you could definitely find your local TrueMark Financial and get in there today. Becoming a member of a credit union has so many benefits over becoming a customer at a bank. It's an absolute no-brainer. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's what you got to do. All right, get your credit union career started here today. All right, head on over to TrueMark.com/PHLY. You can learn more, or you can find a branch near you. Like I said, 24 branches here in the Philadelphia area. Again, that's TrueMark.com/PHLY. Federally insured by the NCUA. And thank you to our friends over at TrueMark Financial.
All right, JP. So when I switched jobs and came over to ALLCITY for our All PHLY show and building this thing out, I changed the medical insurance. And part of it was also when it comes to your pharmacy, right? When it comes to all of your needs, like when it comes to that stuff. Obviously, I have a family, my wife, Tamara, 2 kids. And so this is a big deal. Like medical insurance and pharmacy is a big deal. And we found Rite Aid. And I got to tell you, it's unbelievable. It's been seamless. And I just fell in love with Rite Aid. With my pharmacy account at Rite Aid, you can refill your scripts, right? Schedule a vaccine, get personalized care recommendations. You sign up for prescription notifications. And all you got to do to get started is to have his prescription at Rite Aid. So get started at riteaid.com/mypharmacy. Trust me, it's a big deal. Stop stressing about your scripts, all right? Let Rite Aid refill them automatically. You enroll in automated courtesy refills. It's free. It's easy. And most prescriptions qualify, all right? Talk with your Rite Aid pharmacist. You can sign up through your My Pharmacy account at riteaid.com. Restrictions might apply, but I'm telling you, it's so much easier, right? You can ask your pharmacist to sync your medications so you can get them in one visit. You can sync with other family members too, right? So, whatever the kids need, we have it all scheduled. It's all automated. It's so easy, especially when you're dealing with a family. It's the best. Transfer your prescriptions to Rite Aid today. Again, riteaid.com/transfer. Rite Aid caring pharmacists ready to answer your questions and help you stay healthy. Get your scripts along with anything at Rite Aid you may need, including over-the-counter medicines, allergy stuff. You can hear it in my voice. Household products, cosmetics, you name it. Just ask your pharmacy teams for details. Restrictions apply. All right, let's get to a little birds, shall we? You see the countdown for kickoff. We are 86 days away from the kickoff of the 2024 season. And joining us, my man, Zach Berman, does such a great job covering the birds, all PHLY Eagles show. Zachariah!
Anthony, good to see you.
You too, my brother. Big story is Birds Minicamp. Coming back off of it, brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. All right, Zach. So one of the things that came out, and you got to shed some light on this. Why is it so hard for Jalen Hurts to say anything nice about Nick Sirianni?
Yeah, it's a good question because there's a pattern here, if you will, going back to the end of last season. And some of it is, when Jalen's up there, you know how this is, Anthony. You did this for a long time. He doesn't feel obligated to kind of help you out with your question or to kind of go along with the narrative. He doesn't just give the typical cliche answer sometimes. So part of it's the cat and mouse game with him, but he's also he's very intentional and he's savvy. So he should know that when there's a layup about your head coach, if you don't take that layup, if instead you kick it out and you try to hit a half court shot with it, then clearly people are going to read into this. And this happened after the last game of the season. It happened at locker cleanout day. It's something my antenna's up on. I think it's kind of Jalen being Jalen, but it's the easiest question for him to answer is what does it say about Nick that he's kind of given up the play calling or that he's taking this big picture approach? And to say, I don't know how to answer that question, or I don't have an answer for you, it mystifies me as well.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm trying to figure out a couple things. One, does he just not like Sirianni? Is the two of them do not work? We all know the importance of a coach, especially one who comes from the offensive side of the ball and the quarterback, right? We have seen the images are indelible in our minds. Yeah. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They're always together, right? He's always talking to him. And that's the oddest thing. And I don't know if it's just Jalen who's more aloof. I mean, he's a kind of an odd cat. They just don't mesh, or is it a problem? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I don't know if it's kind of Jalen versus Nick, although he's allowed the interpretation to be read into it. I look at it more kind of Jalen versus the media. The whole rat poison in his mind that it's kind of the approach that he typically takes that I'm he doesn't kind of want to help you out there. But the thing Jalen should know is that when he's up there, he's not speaking to the 20 plus reporters in the auditorium. He's speaking to the millions of Eagles fans or hundreds of thousands of Eagles fans who are consuming that. And for him to leave that open, if it was isolated here, you could say, that's was right after his last practice. He's just trying to roll out. Yeah. But the fact that this has happened a few times now, I find it odd to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this a while, right? So you know the deal. You just throw the platitude out there.
Exactly.
I mean, it's the easy thing. It's not about helping the media. It's just about, it's just, and for a guy that goes out of his way to say nothing, those answers speak volumes, right? It's like, oh my God, dude, like what?
Yeah, and look, the you mentioned it with Mahomes and Reed, the coach quarterback dynamic. There's always those two are connected. Doug Peterson, he used to say when they drafted Carson Wentz, he said the two of us are married, right?
Yeah.
Like this is the combination. And so much of this offseason is about how can you maximize Jalen, or what are they going to do to improve this offense? And a big story this offseason is Nick Sirianni giving up control of the offense, if you will. This is Kellen Moore's offense now. So Jalen should know that this type of question is coming. He only talks publicly twice during the spring. It's not like it's not something that should catch him out of left field either. Something a question about his head coach. If you asked him how Austin Watkins is looking, and he says, I don't know how to answer that question. All right, it's not something he's thinking about. If he asked about the head coach giving up control of the offense, that's a layup right there.
Is he? I mean, he's odd, right? Like he's a different kind of guy. What like we don't. You've been around him as best you can, right? How would you describe him?
Yeah, ultra competitive, right? That's you like that. I think I don't want to say programmed, but really he's a coach's son who played for Nick Saban. He went there even in high. He graduated high school early, enrolled second semester there at Alabama. Starts as a true freshman. Believes very much like in the Nick Saban approach to things, and I like him personally. But I will also say, if I'm being candid, I'm going into year 13 covering the team. I've covered Michael Vick and Nick Foles and Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez, Carson Wentz. You go on down the list. I probably know Jalen least well of all those quarterbacks, and I think part of that is he was drafted during the COVID year, and so I didn't get a chance to know him when he was a rookie. But also I think he kind of has a certain way of how he wants his public image to be, and he's very he does not deviate much from that, and that's his prerogative.
Oh yeah, listen. It doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant to me what his personality is like. It's just about what happens on the field. I just find this whole thing just strange is all. And
it's
what
unnecessary.
Does it say about this is a big year for him too. From everybody talked about last year, it wasn't like you always hear everybody likes him and they should like him, but there's still a lot of people I talk to who go, we're a little disappointed in how he was acting last year. Like he's got to step it up a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll give an example, and I'm not afraid to say this, publicly here. So after the Seattle game last year, he throws the interception down the sideline late in the game. Him and AJ, they deviated from the play. That's fine. That's what quarterbacks and that's great quarterbacks and great wide receivers do. It did not work. Nick takes the fall for them, right? Nick falls on the sword, gives this really clumsy answer. He's ridiculed for it, and Nick kind of views that as his responsibility to do that. AJ then speaks out and says that's not on Nick. I will take that. And then when Jalen's asked about it, Jalen says, "Yeah, we're moving on. I'm not talking about that." Right? I think that's the type of thing where your quarterback
you got to take the lead,
take responsibility. Exactly, and so I think there's a part of Jalen that says, I don't know it to you guys. And that's true. He does not know it to the media. He owes it to his head coach, right? Like your head coach is taking the egg on his face for this. You can stand up there and you can say, no, that's not on him. That's on me, right? I made that mistake. I threw that pick. We deviated from the play. Don't blame Nick, blame me. And I think that he chooses not to go that route. As I said, that's his prerogative, but it's the type of thing that I think that would have spoken a lot about Jalen in that situation if he did what AJ did after that and taking the sword.
Yeah, because you're the quarterback, right? We all we talk about leadership and we talk about owning the you're the face of the team and the whole thing. That was odd. So what else? So what do you make of this offense? And it's it's so different than what we've seen. What did you see?
Yeah, I saw a lot of introduction, and I know the spring's more about introduction than evaluation, right? The example that I say on the PHLY Eagles show is that if someone read like the rough drafts of an article I wrote, it probably wouldn't be as good as the finished product. Mm-hmm. And that's basically we're watching them do the rough draft. We're watching the installation. So I don't read too much into how the offense wasn't that crisp. That said, in the spring, and you know this well, it's passing camp, right? Like there's no real pass rush on you. There's no defensive game plan against you. So if the ball's going in the other team's hands, or if the defense's hands rather, if the ball's going on the turf, then that's not what you want to see from the offense. But in terms of offensive structure, I do think you're going to see more creativity. You already see the pre-snap movement, the pre-snap motion. And I just think that's going to be brought up to a significant degree come the regular season.
What about Nick? Now, the role that we're talking about here, which is, taking a step back from the offense itself. We've seen him take a step back from play calling and now from the offense. And how does this impact him and, also his future?
Yeah, well, his future, they need to win, and I think Nick knows that, and not just win, they need to win big, right? As far as his future, look, if this doesn't go well this year, Howie's not going to be blamed for the roster he put together, and Jalen's not going to be blamed as the quarterback. It's going to fall on Nick, and I think Nick should understand that. But what his role is in terms of being the quote unquote CEO coach, I have no objection to that. Like his job is to be the head coach of the whole football team. His job is Monday to Saturday to get them ready for Sunday. His job is to manage the game well on Sunday. His job is to be the leader of the entire team, not just the leader of the offense. And this works exceedingly well in Baltimore. This works exceedingly well in Pittsburgh. This has worked in Detroit. This worked in New England for years, right? I don't think you need to be installing the offense like Sean McVay does or like Kyle Shanahan does in order to be a successful coach.
I agree
but
with you.
Everything else needs to be on you need to have the leadership skills to really be the guy in charge of the whole team.
Look, I agree with you, but in those situations, you got special teams guys, defensive guys, right? He's unique in that he's an offensive guy who is taking a step back from the offense.
You are correct about that. And I think that's where a lot of the questions and the criticism has come. I think that what he did actually speaks to him personally, that he was willing to do this. Now you can say like it was probably the only way he was going to keep his job, right? Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't just going to run it back that way. But I think it's beneficial. Now the question is this, and this might be a good problem to have. But if they're really good this year on offense, Kellen Moore's not going to be here that long, right? Like when people ask about Kellen Moore's future, if the Eagles aren't good, the whole house is being cleaned. If the Eagles are good, someone's going to poach Kellen Moore. So I'm kind of curious to see long term how this plays out. And this is why owners sometimes like when the head coach oversees the offense, because the offensive coordinator is going to get plucked if you're good.
Yeah, and that's the curse of being a good team that your coaching staff, which is why, like you look at Fangio is a great hire because you don't have to worry about it. He's going to end his career here, right? So you don't have to worry about him being plucked to go be a head coach. And I mean, we saw that before Peterson, right? Doug lost both of his coordinators, couldn't fill it. The trick is to find like veterans. Like, so Andy had Marty Morningway. He had my man from Wisconsin.
Brad Childress.
Brad Childress. Thank you. Brad Childress. So he had veteran guys on that side of the ball. Once he got guys that were plucked from him, he still had veteran guys to lean on until Jim passed away. And we saw what happened.
Yeah. And it was always Andy's offense. And I think, I think ownership kind of saw the first coach Jeffrey Lurie hired was Ray Rhodes, right? A defensive guy. And he comes in and John Gruden's his offensive coordinator. And they have some success early on. John Gruden gets plucked. They don't adequately replace John Gruden. It's Dana Bible who comes in then, and everything kind of went downhill. So point is there tends to be this idea in coaching that you want to hire the offensive guy because a good offensive coordinator is going to be plucked, and you kind of keep the continuity of the system. Now, in Nick's case, that was kind of the idea that they brought him in, and as Nick likes to say, they brought him in for his offensive mind. But the only way Nick was going to be here year 4 is if there were going to be changes on both sides of the ball. And the fact that they brought in Kellen Moore, I think it says something about Nick. It says something that he's taking this big picture view. But there are questions either way. If this works if this works really well, what's this offense going to look like next season? And if this doesn't work, then you're kind of starting over.
You know what's interesting, real quick, in this portion of the show is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook Casino app. So my buddy VG, Violations Greg, who does the show with me, he's not a Sirianni fan. I'm a Sirianni fan, right? So we see completely opposite. He thinks and I'll ask you to break the tie. I mean, he says, is he smart? He doesn't seem smart to him. He doesn't seem polished to him. He doesn't know what he does well. That's his criticism of him. And we all see the outward stuff, the display of emotion during the sidelines. I'll ask you, you're around it all the time. Yeah. Is he a smart football man? What does he bring to the table? And again, I see big picture stuff, but you see nuance.
Yeah, I think he brings unique personality characteristics that in that job you're overseeing, at this time of year, 90-man roster, right? A coaching staff of 40, 50 people, in terms of training staff, you go on down the list. And I think he has a personality that allows people to do good work, to enjoy coming into work, the enthusiasm that he has, the ability to connect with those around him. I think he's very organized. I've spoken to a lot of his assistants over the years who are blown away by the level of detail that he goes into, whether it comes into situational football, whether it comes into teaching of fundamentals. So there are personality traits that he has that I think are elite, and that's helped him. And I have to judge by the results here. 3 seasons, 3 playoff appearances, 2 double-digit win seasons, 1 Super Bowl win, or I'm sorry, 1 Super Bowl appearance. That's a really good resume. But yeah, he's not he's not Sean McVay, he's not Kyle Shanahan. He's a different type of coach than those guys.
Does he have their football intellect?
I think he does, sure. But I don't think he has their play calling chops,
innovation, right?
Yeah. We haven't seen that from him, and frankly, I don't think the Eagles' offense has ever been particularly innovative, or in the past few years has not been innovative. And I think their strength is like, our guys are better than your guys. We're going to try to maximize our guys. But I didn't think they did enough last year to evolve. And I think that definitely caught up to them. And frankly, if your strength as a head coach is how you lead, how you manage people, And if you're going to get credit in 2021 when they, when they're 2-5 and they turn that around and make the playoffs, then when you're 10-1 and you falter, you collapse at the end of the year, like the Eagles did last year, that's similarly on you. And Nick did not do a good job in November and December and, in the January last year.
All right, last thing, and this is an interesting question. So I had somebody pose this to me. And I kind of straddled on the fence a little bit, to be honest with you. They said to me, right now, you could have Jordan Love for the rest of his career or Jalen for the rest of his career. Now, obviously, recency bias, Jordan Love the last half of the season and then the playoffs was sensational, right? But in fairness, we saw Jalen do that 2 years ago.
Exactly.
We saw how terrific Jalen was. Now, there's things I love about Love from a technical standpoint, but it was an interesting question that I kind of straddled. What's your choice? What's your answer?
Yeah, Jalen, because I've seen the high watermark from Jalen. And the high watermark was in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes. You can argue he played as well as Mahomes in that Super Bowl game.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
The best he played was on the biggest stage. And so I would go Jalen because there's more evidence than the high watermark is there. But certainly the way Jordan Love played in Dallas last year in that playoff game, it's hard to play much better than that too.
Well, he did it in Detroit. Yeah. I mean, he did it
exactly.
He had a great run. Yeah. The only thing that would worry me about Jalen is going forward. What worries me about Jalen going forward is some of the technical stuff, mechanical stuff. He's got he took a big step backwards in my mind. Fleeing the pocket way too early. His eyes were down. Like there's things that he needs that I did not expect to see last year.
I am with you, and that's why this year is going to be so fascinating for Jalen as well. Because if you talk about the competitiveness and the intangibles and all these characteristics that he has that the Eagles think are elite in terms of like a non-playing ability, it's easy to say that when things are great and you're going to the Super Bowl. Where that really comes out is when things are against you, and that did not manifest itself well in December last year, and it needs to this year.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's gonna be interesting. Zach, great stuff, buddy. We appreciate it, pal. Look forward to seeing you here.
I am on with Bo at noon today. We're gonna be breaking down the biggest stories from the spring, so make sure you check that out.
I cannot wait. It's always a must-watch for me. Love it, buddy. Keep up the great work. Thanks, pal.
Thank you.
Zach Berman, Zachariah. Don't forget the All PHLY Eagles show. And now joining us, the Brain.
Brain. Red, the Brain Finder.
Brain. Good
What's
morning,
going on,
Brain.
man? How are you? Let me turn my camera a little bit. Am I doing it wrong? Okay.
Right there.
How you doing?
You got VG.
Good,
VG's inspecting your background right now.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm in St. Bart's today, so yeah.
I love it. St. Bart's. That's fabulous, man.
That's where the Mavericks are going to be, unfortunately, pretty soon.
I know, dude. I was thinking of you last night. How about Drew Holiday, the game that he had last night? 26, 11 boards, 3 assists. He's 11-14 from the field. He's the best player on the floor.
It's funny, Anthony. He's one of my all-time favorite players. And when the Bucks made that trade, when every Tom, Dick, and Harry's running to bet the Bucks to win the title, I said, I think the Bucks just got worse.
Yeah.
I know that sounds crazy, but I am such a fan of that guy. Look, I mean, obviously I loved him when he was here, and since he left here, he's really carved out. I think he's gonna make the Hall of Fame. I think he's just an incredible player. Look, Anthony, this is very reminiscent to me. Tell me if you agree. Only 2 games, so I know there's a lot of basketball left to be played. But when Iguodala won the MVP, for Golden State, you're like, oh,
yeah.
that Iguodala.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Drew's odds were to win MVP, but God, I mean, like right now, I'd like to. I didn't even look at the updated odds, but to me, he clearly would be the favorite right now. And look, he's been terrific. Tatum shrinking again. It's weird how Tatum in these stages. It kind of how Embiid has not played well in the playoffs. Tatum to me in these stages, same thing for whatever reason, whatever you want to call it, just hasn't played well. But I guess it hasn't made a difference. Luka was magnificent last night. Kyrie, just like in the Oklahoma City series, he's not helped at all. And that has been extremely disappointing for me as someone who, look, last night Dallas, they pushed, they're getting 7. You could have gotten 7.5 if you shopped it, and you would have gotten a nice win. But, someone who's been a Dallas proponent in this series, I was expecting a lot more from Kyrie Irving. Hasn't happened.
He was fantastic against Minnesota. If Kyrie shows up, they win. Right? If Kyrie shows up, they win last night. They needed him.
That was their
he had that one little flurry in the beginning of the fourth quarter. That was it.
That was it. Listen, Anthony, again, we talk about it. Short sample sizes, short 7-game series. Either your best players step up or they don't. Now, again, the difference between Boston and Dallas, which we all know, Boston has 7 really good players. Dallas has 2 superstars and not the rest of the cast that Boston has. So they need Luka. Look, Luka's Luka's Luka. Okay, you're going to get from him, but Kyrie, which I've just been disappointed with, has not been good. He hasn't been good these 2 games. And again, if you're looking to beat a 64-win team, you need all your star players playing well. Not happening right now for Boston. The chance of them winning 4 out of 5, slim and none, to be honest. So it's going to be extremely challenging for them. Maybe they can do it. I'm rooting for them, but I think it's going to be a really tough task. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, I at this point, it looked like they gave him. I thought that they would steal last night. I thought they were going to win. The way the game started, it felt like, all right, I think this is the Dallas comeback game because Boston, when they hit threes like that, they go nuts. They can blow you out.
They didn't make them last night. They didn't make them last night, Anthony.
No.
They were 6 of 40. I mean, now again, granted, Dallas didn't make them either. So it was kind of all right, well, you're going to.
Yeah, but you got to take advantage of that. If you're a Mavericks, you got to win that game last night.
That's exactly right. Again, we talk about it. It's in a situation when you're theoretically the inferior team. They were 2.5 to 1 underdog. When you have a chance to win a game, when the other team's missing their threes, you can't just say, you know what, we'll get them next game. It's not. You can say it, but you're not going to win the series. And to me, when you give away a game like that, when it was there for you to win and you just didn't grab it and take it, Luka was great to me, but no one else really did anything. I mean, but I don't know. But it's interesting, Anthony. Again, when I was on the air with you on Thursday, I talked about, and I know it was your best bet, PJ Washington over 11.5 points. Bet it again yesterday. Now it's 14.5. You got to take advantage of those bets while they still out there because again, it goes from 11.5 to 14.5. Poof, it's gone.
What did you have last night? 16 last night?
17.
17.
17. Yeah, 17.
I mean, you could just see it. He's way more active in this series. I'd still go over the 14.5 for the next game because going home, he's going to get looks. He's going to get shots. They need somebody else. They need somebody, especially with Kyrie, you got to have somebody else that's taking shots.
Yeah, I mean, look, and it's going to be a tough situation. Now, do you think? I haven't heard anything. I haven't been. I didn't know if I know Porzingis. I watched him leave injured. Did they say anything?
Not yet. The calf.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Do you know what? It could mean Dallas if he's limited, and I guess we'll find out today how he wakes up. But if he's limited, that could actually, that could change the series a little bit because Dallas then go home and defends home court.
Yeah, but again, it's going to be a big ask for Dallas to win 2 in a row. You're probably looking at maybe a 25% chance it happens, something like that from a mathematical standpoint. If it gets to 2-2, then obviously we have a true series in our hand. If not, again, they're not coming down from 3-1. If they split and having 2 of the 3, this isn't going to be a LeBron James situation, Golden State versus the Cavs, in my opinion. So obviously, in my opinion, 2 must-wins. Captain Obvious here, 2 must-wins for the Dallas Mavericks. We'll see if they can get it done. The odds are they won't.
So I'll ask you this: you have the Drew Holiday series and the Bob series.
I was in attendance.
You were at the game.
I went. It was great. First of all, I sat second row behind the glass, right behind Bob, so I really got a good perspective of the shots. And the first period they had an incredible. I mean, it was the first. Like I was sitting from behind the glass from the right period, so to speak. His saves were unbelievable. Like
he played out of his mind. But Borowski was amazing. Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, Anthony? And I didn't see what the announcers said, because but for being at the game, and I thought Edmonton was far better, but they just couldn't score. But that's the beauty of hockey, I actually thought they were the better team, and I don't know. Again, maybe the announcers saw it differently than me, but I felt like Edmonton had every score. Everything was Edmonton. Florida had really maybe 2 or 3 chances to score. They scored on both of them, I guess. Edmonton seemed like they had 20 and they just couldn't score. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you can win that way, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, who do you like tonight?
I would lean Edmonton. Absolutely lean Edmonton. To me, again, I thought that
makes VG happy.
I think it's at least a 50-50 game. And again, listen, I mean, can the guy – no, they stopped their power play stone cold, and I give them credit for that. I mean, Edmonton – if you've been following Anthony Edmonton this year, when they're on their power play, that is what makes them a super team. It's not 5-on-5 regular strength. It's when you commit an error and give them a power play, they are smoking you. They are punishing you.
Yeah, because you see the looks they get, the shots,
it's unbelievable.
The quality of shots they get.
Correct.
The way they move the puck is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very high skill level, high skill level. And listen, when we're talking about a hockey game where there's theoretically the over-unders are 5.5 in this game, when you can score 2 power play goals, you don't need to be a genius to realize that's probably going to win you the game. Credit to Florida, they were able to shut them down. Will they do it again? I'm not so sure about it, to be honest. But again, hot goalies are never easy to beat.
Yep. Brad'sBestBets.com. Brad'sBestBets.com, at Brad'sBestBets on Twitter. What do you got for us today? Anything tonight? Slim card.
Look, first, 25-11 this week, Anthony. And I don't think I've lost on your show in a few weeks, even a losing day. So I hope people are doing this, watching, making money. But look, I like Anthony. I'm going to give you 2 bets today. Jose Berrios, Toronto Blue Jays. I like over 17.5 outs, Anthony. He's 9-2 to this over this year, 21-9 his last 30. I just love. I mean, he's a horse. He pitches big innings, Berrios. I think there's at least 2 out of 3 chance he gets his 6 innings. He's a guy that throws a lot of innings. And then this is a guy, Anthony, may surprise you. I'm going to take Corbin Burns. As good as he's been, Anthony, there's been one difference with Corbin Burns. He's not striking guys out anywhere near the clip he has in the past. His K rate is down drastically this year. You can park site right now. You can take under 6.5, even money, plus 100. I like that bet very much. 9-2 to the under this year. He's striking out, I think, less than even 1 inning. 6.5 is a big number. Tampa Bay doesn't strike out a ton. I like that under, my friend.
There you go. I love it. All right. Great stuff, Brain. Enjoy St. Bart's. You already got good sun. Good for you.
You're a good man. I'll see you tomorrow, buddy.
See you, buddy. There he is, the Brain. Checking it out. That's right. All right. Couple things. Let me tell you about Primo Hoagies. That's right. Primo's is coming. We love our Primo Hoagies. Listen, made with the finest Thuman meats and cheeses piled high on that incredible bread. It's always been about the bread since 1992. The original Primo's debuted. And it was in South Philadelphia, and of course in the heart of South Philly, 1990, right on Rittner Street. And so they had to do, something different. So they made sure that they got you quality, love, you name it. That's what they did. The quality of ingredients that go into every sandwich, from the finest meats and cheeses to that award-winning bread. Primo Hoagies committed to crafting sandwiches that set the standard for excellence. You can become a Primo Rewards member. You get $2 off Primo-size hoagies every Wednesday. All right, do yourself a favor. It's graduation season. It's there's all kinds of things every weekend. Family get-togethers. That's spring and summer. Nobody feels like cooking. Do yourself a favor. Go to primohoagies.com. Get the party tray. All right, you whack up all the different hoagies
can you hear me?
for all the different tastes in your house.
Yeah, I can
it's
hear you
the
now.
best. Primohoagies.com, and you'll say what I always say. It's not just a hoagie. It's a primo. All right, and now let me tell you about the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app.
In
You heard
Portugal right
Brad
now,
talking about it, right?
Always nice.
So you have all kinds of ways to play.
Lisbon,
and we talk about these series. Like you can go with
kind of
futures,
between places,
the MVP,
technically
win
I'm still a
totals here.
British resident.
You could talk about the strikeout props, the inning props that you get with Brad.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated because over the last year
I was download it right to your phone. Now here's the deal. Right, beyond just the sports, you got all kinds of things, like your casino. Like you can watch the game, you're kind of getting bored, do the whole thing. Do yourself a favor. You can play live baccarat, live roulette, several different live blackjack games. You can play them all right now with a live dealer right on your phone with the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. Plus, you got hundreds of online slots, new online slots like Zeus, Fantastic Fireworks, Lucky Cherry, all the action and excitement from the casino right at your fingertips. Bet Parks, you got to check it out. Odds, bets, slots, games right in your pocket. And here you go, new users. Download the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app right now. Get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. Got to be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan. Gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. You love to play, you bet, you play, you bet, you bet Parks. It's the way to do it. Bet Parks. Now, joining us, this man right here, my buddy Mike from Cosme's, our man Mike Seck. Seck and I grew up together. He created, so he's doing something really nice. We always love to be a part of the community, right? We always love to find what's going on, people doing great things, and we love food on the show, and Mike's a master. So Mike decided to team up with my main man, Big Dom. And in fact, Mike has a stepdaughter who's got autism, and he wanted to join the fight against autism. And the Eagles and Jeffrey Lurie do so much good work with, the fight against autism. Everything they do is geared toward that, and they do a wonderful job. So I wanted to give Mike a chance because Mike created the Big Dom, all right? And the Big Dom, where a portion of the proceeds are going to go to the Eagles' fight against autism. What do you say, Sack?
What's up, cuz? We got a Big Dom Cugine. I didn't want to rob you and take it a Big Dom cuz. So
doesn't matter.
Yeah, this has been in the works, and it's I like the props that I created it, but this is actually me and Dom went back and forth in the Cosme's lab, and we
Cosme's lab.
Love that lab.
We love the Cosme's lab.
We went like with this, and then we tried this, and we went some back and forth. We tried to really represent Dom because if you have a Big Dom sandwich, you wanted something that he would eat. So a little back and forth, and he liked a lot of them, but we came up with these two. We did a hot and a cold. So the first one is the Big Dom cutlet, and I think this
the Big Dom cutlet.
Yeah,
all right,
and it's a slammer.
Pick that up, the Big Dom cutlet. All right, that's a big cutlet.
It's a big cutlet. I'm ready to. I'm so happy. There's a cutlet here.
We go big or we go home at Cosme's. We don't have small dainty sandwiches or finger sandwiches. So,
you got that sausage fingers.
Yeah, I got that. So this is the Big Dom Cugine, which is this is actually, I think, a better sandwich for the summer. It's really pops out.
What got a little arugula on that?
What we got here is we have a little green pesto, go Eagles, on the bottom of the roll.
Okay.
We start with a Carangi roll.
Okay.
Right? Fresh seeded bread. And then we shave Parma prosciutto, imported mortadella, and then we use fresh burrata. Okay, instead of doing boring lettuce, tomato. Now, Big Dom doesn't like onions, so there's no onions allowed.
Big Dom's anti-onion.
Anti-onion. But so what we do is we get the finest tomatoes, these cherry bombs, and we half them.
With the Jersey tomatoes?
Yeah, flaky salt, extra virgin olive oil. Give that a nice toss. And then we use, instead of boring iceberg lettuce, we hit it with
arugula.
fresh arugula. So
the arugula is a good
I'm
choice.
a big
BG.
arugula fan,
So
especially
am
in
I.
the summer.
Yes, it's a great item.
Yes.
The arugula salad.
I'm all about it. There's a little spinach and arugula in me, but I love the arugula.
I'm an arugula man.
Yeah, and it just it screams out freshness with the fresh basil, and that's been kind of our thing. Our attention to detail has always been great, and every step along the way, we feel we hit it really good. We should have did this a long time ago, but now it's like the basic theory behind this was Big Dom we know he's running Philly. So, it's like AI, Harper, Hurts, and Big Dom.
The cult of celebrity with Big Dom is
scary.
awesome.
Now, I feed the Knicks. We walked in. I just happened to be there when Dom was there.
What? You feed the Knicks?
Feed the Knicks.
Well, tell him the story. The reason why he feeds the Knicks is
William Wesley, Worldwide West.
Right.
He's the vice president. I've always done food for him.
So William Wesley, you know Worldwide West?
No.
You know who he is?
No.
So he's a legend. He's a legend that only people in the know about this guy, right? Like, he is one of the most interesting figures. So he's the vice president of the Knicks.
Okay.
He grew up together with Mike, with Cosby's.
Ah.
He's from South Jersey. He got his fame. He was the sneaker man, right? And he then became Michael Jordan's guy.
What do you mean a sneaker guy?
Tell him the story of Wes. Wes is fascinating.
We had mutual friends at the U back when the U became the U. And
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, he would just
Jerome
walk
Brown.
up. Now, remember, Wes is a random guy at that point, and
Was he a student or just hanging out there?
No.
He had
no student.
There's a couple kids from Pennsauken High School where he went that were on the U, and I had friends from my school that went to the U, and we had met, and he would just walk up and say, "Hey, Michael Irvin, size 12," and he would hand him a pair of sneakers and walk away, and everybody's like, "Well, who's that?"
Yeah,
well, who's that? It became, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's Wes. And then, like what Anthony said, when he got in with Jordan, it became, well, who's the guy with Jordan? It's Wes. So he just became accepted everywhere he went. But
he's
worked his way up to a VP.
Oh my God, he's unbelievable. Wes is one of these characters that is one of the behind the scenes of sports, like the greatest. Every athlete knows Wes. Like every
presidents
athlete.
know Wes.
They all know Wes.
What?
Yeah, I know. And he's from.
You got to get him in here in the summer.
He's from right over the bridge. And Pennsauken, like Camden, right around Camden Capital.
Get him here. Hey, Wes, I'm a size 10 if you're watching. You come in the summer.
Nah, dude, like this guy, now he became like a true executive.
It's wild.
Right?
Yeah,
but his rise was like everybody knew him. Like every sport, like Wes. All he had to say was Worldwide West.
He's not lying. That's the truth. So
he was at the Pistons. I mean, he wound up being with all.
If you watch the Malice in the Palace, he's the one walking Ron Artest off the court, getting doused with beer.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was what 30,
and he's a
25
Philly,
years
like it's big South Jersey, like right over the bridge. The Philly kid who's like in the middle of this whole. He's like the mysterious figure.
Yes,
he's awesome. He's like I'm fascinated by Wes.
Kaiser Soze.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, through.
But anyway, Big Dom was with
Wes at the Executive Lounge. I'm feeding the Knicks. They had just beat them. Oh no, this was in the regular season. And, we just talked, hit it off good, took a picture. I mean, he's a friendly guy. He took a couple sandwiches home. And the more I got to thinking, I'm a huge Eagles fan, as you are, Cuz. And I just said, their grand slam of fundraising is autism awareness. Mm. So, I talked to Big Dom, and it kind of reminded me of,
your stepdaughter has it.
Yeah, my stepdaughter has it. So I'm trying to, become more aware as the awareness thing is. But I started this thing and I said, let's do something good. I mean, my ability, let's face it. We don't say we're the best. We do a really good, solid job in preparing food.
Right, dude, your family's had it. How long have you had Cosby's? Your father had it?
My father had it from 76 on. I had it from 06 on.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the first places when I moved. I'm a Juniata Park borderline northeaster. When I first moved south of South Street, it was one of the first places I went to like 20-something years ago, and it's been
A Street. Yeah,
it's been legit since.
Yeah, so we just figured with Big Dom's fame and my ability to make a good sandwich, we really have a shot to do something really good and build on that Eagles. Their thing ended May 18th, so we're just going to keep it running. And I feel really
That's
good
nice,
about
man.
it.
So is this going through the summer?
The great. No, we're going to
Permanent?
We'll see. Well, let's go.
Big Dom.
Big Dom in
The
the
Big
house.
Dom cutlet and the Big Dom. Which other one?
Cougine.
Can I just ask? I mean, I'm stuck between you guys. He's got the horn and the boot necklace. You got the boot tat. What's a cougine?
It's like a friend, one of us.
Yeah?
One of the guys.
Well,
It's
it
my
means,
cougine.
in
I don't
Italian,
know.
it means cousin.
All right, yeah, and I had no idea.
You had no idea
No,
what that
I had
was?
no idea.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, in Italian, it means cugino is cousin in Italian.
All right.
So then it gets like everything else
Yeah.
in the culture gets bastardized into cugine.
This is a Metagon moment for VG here.
It's awesome. But
I love it. So second I grew up together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got
We-
some
we
stories, but we can't keep.
We were
can't talk
played
about
ball together
Yes,
back
we
in the
did.
day.
How was he? He says he can shoot.
Let me tell you something. I tell the same story to everybody. Cuz will tell you the three best finger rolls in the history of the game were Dr. J, the Iceman, George Gervin, and Anthony One Cuz Gargano. And that's undisputed.
He gets some lift with the finger roll.
Dude, what he did is he just copied everything. He probably, we were Italian, about the wall of mirrors in the town.
Yeah. I have them in my house right now.
Like I was more of a baseball guy than basketball, but I played both. But I was doing all the wind ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cuz was perfecting the finger roll, and he
With the
damn
Nerf
well,
ball?
He did it.
That's hysterical.
Hey, let me say one thing. Cosby, they helped me in my world. The Pagan is a vegetarian. For Sandwich Shop, you guys do more vegetarian options that make my life so much easier.
And vegan. One of our big vegans is Questlove, who was not always a vegan. He used to always come in and get chicken cheesesteaks. And then one day, I knew he was in town, and he texted me and came on down. And I said, well, chicken cheesesteak, right? And he goes, you don't know? And I said, no, what are you talking about? I'm vegan. So, we put together a nice little vegan section. And it really makes people happy.
We do with the porchella with the mushrooms?
We do a chicken
Puccini?
sub. They call it a sub. And then we do for anything beef, we use Beyond Meat. So you can get a vegan cheesesteak.
Gotcha.
Cook that
Right,
separately
right.
on a different grill. We don't cross over. And believe it or not, we've had more people call about that and say, you know what, thank you. Now we don't have to go to two places. We can go to the same place.
Oh, wow.
My husband can get his, cheesesteak extra Cooper.
Right.
And now I can get the vegan Tuscany, so it works out good.
Oh,
Even,
nice.
some of them other teams in the NBA buy a few vegans. I don't know who's vegan, but I wish I could do the pregame meal and load them up.
I love the Big Dom, dude. And we always highlight people doing good things in Philadelphia, and doing the Big Dom for autism is a great thing. Thank you,
Yes,
brother.
it is. Anytime. And let's go, guys. Come out and buy. That's the greatest thing. You don't have to ask somebody to write a check. Just come down and get an awesome sandwich, and we'll take care of the rest and send in that money.
Good for you. Good way to go, Mike. There he is.
Thanks for having me, my man.
The sec checking in from. I saw the bro. The bro.
He's hovering around.
He walked in. The minute he walked in, he smelled the food. The bro.
It's like chum. It's like chum in the water.
He sees Sec, and then he walks over to the table. He's like, I can't wait. Like, the bro's diving in.
Bro was a customer coming in for a lot of years.
Oh, yeah. The bro.
What's funny is I always heard the name, the bro. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, you're the bro?
Yeah.
I know you. He kept it hush.
Yeah. The bro. That's right, Jamie. Classic. All right. We got coming up, we're going to talk to Baldy. We got him? Let's go. Oh, in 3 minutes. All right, perfect. So Baldy's coming up in a couple minutes. We'll discuss the whole Sirianni stuff, some mini camp. I mean, you name it. We'll get to all that coming up shortly with Baldy. But the one thing I'll say to you, VG, which is interesting, and I was laughing because I was going, hey, JP, come over here, buddy. So one of the things that we're going to wind up doing when we talk about the Eagles and everything else is you were not a fan of Sirianni. And that's why I bring up to Berman, to our buddy Zach, about this season's going to be a telltale about Nick.
It is. Well, one of our comments, let me see who it was real quick, because I was going to bring it up later, but this is a good time now. It's Cashper. If the offense dominates and Kellen's about to get a job, do you elevate Kellen here and cut ties with Nick? Yeah.
Well, you can't penalize him for being like can you really penalize? You got to keep Kellen Moore. You can't just make him head coach.
You can't. Like if the offense is ridiculous and he's getting an offer for a head coach
job,
job,
if they're winning, you can't do that.
I mean, his job's gonna be tough this year. I mean, because I feel like everyone's gonna be watching him under a microscope.
Yes.
You talked about it earlier in the offseason with the whole Bill Belichick thing, but realistically, I mean, this team obviously needs to bounce back from what happened last year. And yeah, if the offense, if the team in general goes a little bit of a downfall, everyone's gonna be looking at Nick Sirianni.
I know. Well, that's the thing that's wild about it is that, and a guy like him, we were talking about him last night, and you're not a fan.
I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed by.
But how much is the fact that you're?
Is it the antics? What is it?
What is it?
No, I mean, I don't. Last year was a big thing. He lost his Steichen. He lost Jim Schwartz. He went into a tailspin. He had no answers last year. He didn't sound like a guy who had any clue what to do. And I've never known what he does well. He came in here. He called the plays. It wasn't working out, so he gave it up. They did, but he had good support staff around him. And when he changed it up, there are good teams all the time who lose their coordinators and maintain.
Let's put a pin in that because our next guest is the most qualified to talk about this. And that, of course, is the great Baldy.
Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Baldy. Oh, he likes meats and football. Oh, Baldy.
That's it. The great, the one, the only Baldy. What do you say, my brother?
Hey, cuz, things are good here, man. Ready for a good week. I'm going to visit 3 different camps here this week. So going to wind up this sort of second phase of the offseason, visiting some teams.
Who you got? You got the Jets?
I got the Jets tomorrow, Giants on Wednesday, and Ravens on Thursday. And I'm excited about seeing all of them, but I do want to see what Derrick Henry looks like in that Raven offense.
I know. I'm fascinated by that. That's going to be really interesting to see how he looks in that offense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the offense line in Tennessee was terrible last year. The year before, when the offense line was a little bit better, a little healthier, I mean, he did run for over 1,500 yards. I don't believe that he's fallen off that much. He just didn't get any runways last year. And if you're trying to stop both Lamar and Derrick Henry in a run-based offense with all of the misdirection and all the eye candy they throw at you, I think you might have some success.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel the same way, that he's going to have some sort of bounce back. You're also with Washington, right? Which is really interesting that you got up and close with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it was really a great day because I went, Dan Quinn came up and, I had about 15, 20 minutes. I was the only guy there for the media. So he invited me down. So he wanted my impressions of practice. A couple of things. One, you can't find anybody. And this, I understand, you got a new quarterback. He's the star, all that stuff. You can't find one person in that organization that hasn't been impressed by everything he's done so far, whether it's understanding and learning the offense, whether it's taking charge, leadership, blending in. He's just off to a good start. Now it's off season, I don't get that. But he, the final 2-minute drill, the ball didn't hit the ground. He looked good. I thought he got better as the day went on. And then the other thing that was really interesting to me, because every team is doing this differently, is they spent 20 minutes on the new kickoff. And so they're trying a lot of different kicks, type of kicks, okay? Because really, nobody can move until the ball's touched. So the guys that can pooch it, put it up in the air, that doesn't do you any good. Nobody can move whether it's the return team or the coverage team, until the ball is touched. So then it's like, okay, you give them a knuckleball where they might have a hard time handling it. And then the other thing is, because it's going to look more like a run play than it is a return. So now Austin Eckler's returning kicks and Brian Robinson's returning kicks. And now you're looking at guys that can read, they can literally look for 6 inches of daylight. And so, like, that whole thing is kind of fascinating now. Dave Tobey, Kansas City, said, look, there's going to be 1,600 more plays this year than there was last year. We're not going to get – now, this is a
which
one-year
I think
problem.
is brilliant, by the way, Baldy. I love this because you took a like you said, 1,600 new plays. You took a non-play, and all of a sudden you made it interesting.
So 2 things. One, it's a 1-year trial. So it's, I was talking to a guy that worked in the officials booth last year on how they might officiate this, because you simply don't have enough eyes to make sure nobody moves, nobody leaves before the ball's touched. Like, there's a lot of, they're still playing around with how to disseminate the 7 officials. And then, like, look, if there's 50 injuries on this thing, it'll go away. If there's 50 touchdowns scored, it'll go away. So, like, they're just going to monitor it. But I think, instead of just getting up and going to get yourself a beer and knowing that there's going to be a commercial, whatever, like, it's going to keep you in your seat, especially because I was talking to Austin Eckler about it. I saw him split one the other day, and to me, it looked like an inside trap. And that's kind of how it was blocked, and he hit it right in front of me. And so I'm curious what the Eagles will do. Like, all the other guys, Britton Covey, all these guys they have, like, maybe I'm not saying they would put Saquon back there, but maybe it's a running back position right now. Like, nobody really knows exactly. But it's interesting to watch how every team is handling it.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. And here's the only thing about, from an Eagle standpoint, Washington looks like they're going to be better. Like, Washington looks, and certainly, obviously, he's a rookie, so this year they're still building it. But they look like they finally got it right, at least trajectory going forward.
Well, I think one thing, like, they have the way the Eagles have, and the way the good teams have. Like, their coach, Dan Quinn, and Adam Peters, the general manager, they're joined at the hip. They're seeing it the same way. So, like, you got to have that. You got to have that cohesiveness. They're going to be better. I told Dan just at the practice, like, the tempo, how they practice. They did score 31 points in each game against the Eagles last year, and it's last year. But, Terry McLaurin, Dotson, like, they've got Austin Eckler now with Robinson. The offensive line, they got Tyler Biotic from Dallas to play center. They didn't have a center. Like, they're going to be better. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, like, some of these guys, Jeremy Chin, like, some of these names have been really productive players in this league. Now, and I talked to Dan Quinn, like, the one thing about DQ, you can say what he went to a Super Bowl in Atlanta. Matt Ryan was the MVP. Kyle Shanahan ran the offense. They led the league in Dallas, guys, over 3 years. They had the most takeaways in this league, 3 years in a row. So I was just asking him about that, like, what is it about it? So he had some interesting things to say. They're going to be better. They're going to have a better plan than we had. I think Cliff Kingsbury is a good coordinator. Now, look, he had Kyler Murray in the Pro Bowl. He coached Patrick Mahomes. He coached Baker. Like, he's got even Johnny Manziel back in his days at Texas A&M. Like, the guy's got a track record of quarterbacks now. Caleb Williams. Like, Jaden Daniels is his guy right now. I'm anxious to see how this thing kind of comes together.
Yeah, I am too. I kind of look at it, and I loved it. I loved him at LSU. It was with terrific thrower. But the only thing you're worried about is
one thing about
upright.
It's interesting. So I was talking to Cliff Kingsbury about him, and he said, like, between the first year at LSU and his second year at LSU, he went with these reality goggles where you get to see defenses and coverages and blitzes into a screen, and you adjust to it. And what he does is he dials it up as fast as it can go. So he's got to process quicker. And he said it was probably the biggest reason why he made that jump between his first year at LSU and winning a Heisman Trophy. And now Cliff, and I'm like, Cliff, is this a gimmick? Like, I hear about this. He goes, Baldy, I'm just telling you. Like, his ability to recognize coverages right now, to adjust protections for those coverages, for blitz looks. Like he's doing this mentally without ever getting on the field. And it looks like it's transferring. Now, maybe it's just in that gimmick category. Maybe it's just, okay, off-season stuff that teams play with. But Jaden really believes that it was a big difference be him making that jump at LSU.
Dude, I got to tell you, I'm a huge believer in this stuff. So
Okay.
In baseball, there's this VR hitting tool, right?
Okay.
Where you can actually, you'll see real pitching, and it looks like real pitching at you, and you'll hit off pitchers and like MLB pitch. You can.
Yeah.
It helps kids. I've seen it. It helps them with their hand-eye, man. It's a big deal, and that makes sense. It's a video game generation, right? So how better to teach them coverages, what you're seeing on defense, than through a virtual reality screen? They're used to learning off a screen.
No doubt. And so, but in addition, like, okay, you go, okay, let's do some VR. Let's do film study. Let's go on the practice field. And let's just, like, keep working it. Let's just keep working and all these different ways. Like, I don't think anything replaces being out there on Sundays, live action, live field. But if you can prepare in a way that you can, what you see is what you believe, and what you believe is how you have to react. If you can see it quicker, it's going to make you better.
Yeah, because it's training your mind to process. Yes, it's the same thing like in baseball, right? Obviously, nothing's going to take it over live hitting, right? Nothing's going to take the place of that. But if you could teach your mind reaction time, right? How to process, what am I looking at? Am I looking at a slider, a fastball, a four-seamer, a two-seamer? And it's the same thing in football. Like when you're looking at stuff, it's about processing quickly. So all you're doing is mind training your mind to process this stuff. I think it's fascinating, man.
I do too. And it's just something to kind of like watch. But I think anything that speeds up your twitch, it speeds up that whole, that whole thing that has to go off in your brain. Some guys never see it, and that's why they're never successful. And then you could have 20 years of experience like Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be hard to fool them. Right. But like, if you're starting at square one and you're the guy, like, why wouldn't you play around with it? Like, why wouldn't you employ that and use it? Like, it can't hurt at this. And for a kid to say, and I'm calling Jaden a kid, but like the guy was the best player in college football for a reason. Like, it was ridiculous what he did last year. And so it's more than just talent. And I don't know, it's just something I'm going to kind of monitor as the season goes on when I get a chance to, sit down and talk to him down the road.
All right, I got to ask you this stuff because it cropped up at Eagles minicamp. Jalen spoke to the media. He was asked about Sirianni's and his role in the offense. So obviously it's Kellen Moore's offense. So, and Sirianni's taken more of an overseer kind of role. And Jalen answered the question very oddly. It was like, well, I don't know how to answer it. It was a softball question where all you got to do is say, hey, Nick's he's going to be working with it, and you know him, and he'll do whatever he can to help out and whatever. But he didn't. And it kind of brings into this weird kind of relationship between Nick and Jalen. And, he's been asked a couple times to have his back, and he kind of doesn't do it. Now, partly people say could be Jalen's personality is a little different, a little bit more guarded, but this seems weird. And we know the relationship, especially between an offensive coach and his quarterback.
Well, it has to be seamless. They have to be looking at the same thing. Now, it could be, they came out and said that the offense is, 95% new, which is great. The offense stunk last year in the second half of the season. I'm glad it's new. I'm glad, Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier and these guys are there. They've had success. I know it was awkward and all that. You kind of don't want to hear that, and that's what makes Eagle fans bristle here. But Jalen is very guarded to begin with. Like, he is a natural leader. he has to play better, period. He has to see things like I just watched him in a red zone period the other day. He still looks hesitant to pull the trigger. Like you could have, like it's just a 7-on-7, red zone. Like I see Saquon coming out of the backfield in a flat route, and I'm like, just throw it to Saquon, like he's open, like just give it to him. And he never gave it to him, and he was holding it. And I've seen him in scrimmages against Miami, whether it was last year, the year before, and he gets hesitant. Like I don't know what that is. It's just a drill. It's not game. He's got to play better, period. And so if he's taking his instruction from Kellen, all right, take it from Kellen. Let Nick run the team. But you would like to see, especially now with all the changes that they made. And look, I give Howie a ton of credit. I've been critical of Howie on some things. But like the stink that team had, and I just went back and watched Week 18 against the Giants because it's 24-0 in the second quarter, Giants. Yeah. And they this thing was awful. And they have Howie come in and basically just rip this defense apart, throw a bunch of money at some of the stars. Like Howie, if you're Jalen, you can't ask for anything more from a general manager than what he did. Like nobody could ask for more. Whether it's re-signing guys, signing Jalen last year, like putting a new defense out there, new coordinators, like it's on Jalen right now. It's on Jalen to go out there and ball out and earn the money and get this team into the playoffs and then, playoffs to the playoffs. But you just like at this time of the year to man, this is an awesome start to a new beginning because that's what it is.
All right, because I'm with you. What's and this, by the way, this portion of the show, the Meatlocker, right? It's Baldy, brought to you by Butcher Box. Let me ask you a question. What Sirianni is entering such a difficult year, right? First of all, if they don't win, he's gone. Everybody knows that. And then you have this new offensive coordinator. So if the offense has success, people here are bringing it up. Kellen Moore is going to get all the love for the new offensive success. So Nick's in an odd spot. And the second part of the question is, what do you think of Sirianni? Who is Nick Sirianni?
Well, first of all, I think I don't agree with your assessment. You got to think about this, cuz he took over a terrible 4-11-1 team and had them in the playoffs the next year. The next year, they start off 8-0, and they're within 30 minutes of winning a Super Bowl. Last year, they start off 10-1, and they're ripping every team in this league apart, and then it collapsed. So it's, the guy, for whatever you want to say about him, this guy got this team on track. All right, now, the last 7 weeks were ugly, and I agree. But I don't know if that pushes you out the door if Kellen Moore has great success with the offense. I don't believe.
No, but my assessment is if they don't win, they don't have a good year. He's
gone.
If
that's the case, then it might all be gone. It might be time. Like we saw it go bad,
right,
real quick with Peterson, and they blew it up. So it went bad with Chip Kelly, and they blew it up. So it does. If it does go bad, like you're describing, and I don't know exactly what that is, but certainly if they don't make the playoffs, then I would think everybody, should, because it's a good roster. They've got you just go through the talent that's there. It's good. Now, these young kids on the defense line, they have to develop. Vic's got to make this thing a whole lot more cohesive than it ever was last year. So all those things have to take place. But yeah, I would agree that if they don't make the playoffs and they're just muddling in the NFC East at 9-8 or maybe 10-7, they might do what they did to Doug.
Yeah, and I guess my only point in the assessment is that he's in a difficult spot, right? So if the offense performs well, my only point is that Kellen Moore will get all the accolades. It won't be like, hey, great job, Nick, right? Even though he's an offensive guy and he oversaw it, Kellen Moore is going to get all the flowers, is my only point. So and I like Sirianni. So you know that. You and I both kind of, we both like him, but he's in a tough spot. No matter what happens, he's just in a difficult spot.
Yeah, but I think coaches kind of embrace that, cuz
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, like, I don't think anybody should ever have it easy. Like, Kyle Shanahan hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's been to a bunch of them. He's on the doorstep, in a couple different places, and people want to hold that above his head. Like, you could say he's in a tough spot. He's got to win one. They've got an elite roster. He's got to win one. But, I mean, you just keep, like, I remember, Andy Reid went through this in Philly because he goes to 5 NFC championship games. Like, he was in a tough spot. But some coaches just embrace it. Yeah, the only thing Nick knows is coaching. He doesn't know anything else. His father's a coach. His brothers are coaches. He's a coach. That's all he knows. And so, Sean McDermott's in a tough spot. Like, tough spots are part of the business. And I think he's going to embrace that kind of a spot, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Hey, last thing I want to throw at you, because it was thrown at me. And it's a tough question. I kind of straddle the fence here a little bit. I'm curious what you have to say. Jordan Love or Jalen Hurts, you can have either one for the remainder of their career. Now, obviously, Jordan Love was spectacular last half of the year. You and I broke down the film. He was amazing. He had an incredible run. 2 years ago, we saw the best of Jalen. In that Super Bowl, he was incandescent. So I'll ask you. You have the choice. Who you got?
Well, they're totally different players. Like, I want my quarterback to beat defenses from the pocket.
Yep.
And that's what Jordan Love does. Jalen can do that, but he prefers to run a lot, and it has gotten him hurt 3 years in a row. And so I think for longevity, what we saw from Jordan Love with a cast around him that doesn't come close to what Philly is paying their guys. AJ, Devontae, Dallas, like, it doesn't come close to it. And to see him put up, 4,100 plus yards in his first year of starting, Jalen's never done that. So I'm not saying Jalen can't play on that level from the pocket, but I want my quarterback to be able to do that from the pocket. And Jordan Love right now is ahead of Jalen in that department.
Yeah, I mean, he throws a beautiful ball too. Like, he just
beautiful ball. I remember talking. His college coach was Matt Wells at Utah State, and Matt Wells went from Utah State to Texas Tech. And so I was doing a game at Texas Tech when Matt Wells first got there, and I remember asking him about Jordan, and I stayed in touch with him about him. And the next year, Jordan came out, and I said, "You think he can do this? He's drafted in the first round." He goes, "He absolutely can do it. The talent is there, but he needs time to sit. He's not ready right now." And he just went to the perfect spot. And the coach, the organization stayed with him. They made the switch at the right time. They did everything right. Transition. And now I think this kid is ready to really take off.
Yeah, I do too. Great. Listen, great stuff, brother. Always. The way you break it down, the best, man. I'm looking forward to your reports from all three of these camps this week. This is good stuff.
I tell you, because I mean, I don't need to do that. I went down to Washington. It's an 8-hour round trip. I love doing it. I love seeing the guys with my eyeballs. Like, I know there's reports coming out from all over these. Like, I just like to see it myself. And I like to meet the new guys. Like, I know Jeremy Chin. He's a veteran guy in a new place. Like, I just like watching these guys in new places and seeing it for myself and seeing what they're getting out of practice. And just like the kickoff thing. Like, I get so much out of these visits.
Yeah, and that's why you often say this. You're like, I don't listen to any other analyst. I just want to do my own work. So whether it's breaking down film or taking these visits, and by the way, I think it was smart of Washington and Dan Quinn to pick your brain a little bit. I think a lot more teams should do that.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I mean, it was just a good. It's good to see Cliff. Joe Witt's been a good coordinator in Dallas. Yeah. He's run the defense now in Washington. So I think that, for the first time, I feel like this is a good change in Washington. I think this thing has a chance to kind of take off.
Good stuff. Baldy!
Yeah. Okay,
a great Baldy. Thanks,
all right,
brother.
I'll talk to you later in the week, man.
Sounds good, baby. Be careful. There he is, the great Baldy. That portion of the show presented by Rite Aid. Go to riteaid.com. Get all of your pharmacy needs at riteaid.com, and you can transfer all of your scripts. All right, coming up, we go back to the Clubhouse, best and worst of the weekend, VG's Nugs. What do you got there, JP?
All right, cuz, let's talk real quick first about Shady Rays because, guys, we are in summertime. So what's important, obviously protecting your skin, but also protecting those eyeballs. So what better than Shady Rays, our friends over there. You know what I really love about Shady Rays? I'm a big sunglass guy, as you guys can clearly tell, but compared to some of the other sunglass companies, what Shady Rays does is that they give you the quality, but they don't charge you like some of those other companies. And that's the best part about it. You can style with Shady Rays, but not break your bank. And listen, we all been there, right? You lose your sunglasses, you happen to break them, whatnot. You know, that's it. They're done. You just had $200 go down the drain. But with Shady Rays, what they'll do for you, if you happen to lose or break them, they will replace it for you. Guys, nobody's doing that right now besides Shady Rays. And don't just take it from me. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays with 5 stars, all right? Over 300,000 people. And of course, as always, guys, we got you covered with that promo code. So right now, you guys can rock their different array of styles over at Shady Rays, and you can use that promo code PHLY. Once you head on over to shadyrays.com, you'll get 35% off polarized sunglasses here today. Again, that promo code is PHLY, 35% off polarized sunglasses. You can get your Shady Rays here today, and if you don't like it, they'll give you that 30-day guarantee. You can return it back and get your money back. So guys, for the summer, get styling right now with Shady Rays. And while we're talking about summer, guys, we obviously all get thirsty, you know, at the grill or pizza night, whatever it may be. You need something to drink, right? So that's why we're recommending here today our friends over at Olipop, all right? We all love Olipop. VG's got it here today. My man is sipping on the lemon lime here today, all right? I actually had this on Saturday. It was very refreshing after a long watch party over at Gall & Co. But what's best about Olipop, guys, is that, look, we all love that classic soda taste, right? It's fantastic. But in today's day and age, we're trying to take care of our health, okay? So with the world's first functional soda that does have that classic soda taste, what this has is the benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, and other botanical ingredients that support that gut health. And that's what we're talking about here, guys. And the best part about Olipop is 2 to 5 grams of sugar with 9 grams of fiber. That's where the health nuts go crazy. And you can find this in over 30,000 different retailers, including our favorite. You can find it at Wawa, guys. Get your cup of Joe in the morning. Get your Olipop for lunch. Nothing better than that. But hey, you can find it.
He's about gut health.
He loves that gut health.
Working on it. You know, that's the plan.
Of course, you can also find this at Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite. You can get delivered with GoPuff. But of course, drinkolipop.com will get that delivered to you as well as Amazon. And right now, you can use that promo code PHLY20. That'll get you 20% off your next Olipop order. However, the discount only applies to one-time orders and not to subscription orders. So, guys, for your next meal, consider an Olipop.
There you go. Thanks, buddy. All right. This portion of the show presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY to find out the credit union difference of TrueMark. All right. My man.
Yeah.
Time for the Clubhouse.
Club.
Favorite part of the day.
I know. I love this part.
Well, let's go VG's Nugs, then we'll do best and worst.
Ooh, start off with the Nugs.
I want some Nugs.
First of all,
you always got good Nugs.
Do you know what today is? Today's a special day in the area. It's 610. Delco Day. Hey! Named after, I think, the area code 610. Happy Delco Day to all our friends out there.
That's funny.
Delco.
610 was a big day. When I started at WIP, we were on 610 AM. And 610 was always a big day.
Was it?
Yeah.
All right, let's start off with
Delco
a little,
Day.
little
That's great.
fashion.
Yeah, Delco.
Because Rob McElhenney was out there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he came out a little awkward. I don't know if he's doing this for real. This little tucked in jersey action.
Yeah, that's weird, man.
Yeah, it's a violation.
Is he doing that to be funny, or is that
I don't
what
know.
he's doing?
But the tucked in jersey has always been a violation.
It's a bad look, right?
Yes.
What is that?
You can't
It's
tuck in
really
jersey.
tucked in.
No, it's it's
There's not
tucked
even
in
any
like,
overhanger.
like Anchorman tucked in,
Yes.
right?
Where's the belt, too? You need a belt if you're going to tuck.
No, you can't tuck a jersey.
Well, you can't tuck the
you
jersey.
can never tuck a
It's
jersey.
screaming suburban
You
dad.
can't tuck the jersey, but if you're going to tuck anything, it needs to have a belt with it.
Okay, but again, I can't stress this enough. The jersey should never, ever be tucked.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
It's a bad look.
Unless you're wearing
to tuck the jersey.
baseball pants. If you're wearing a full uniform
that's
for
different.
some weird reason.
But you never. I see it all the time. People tucking in the jersey and the jeans.
Yeah.
It's never a good look.
So, and
What do we think of the double play, by the way?
Eh.
You chose both. You wanted him to pick either. Or.
Yes.
you know,
I wanted him to pick Bryce.
You knew it was going to be both, though. You knew
I
somehow
wanted
he's
him
going
to
to fit.
pick Bryce.
I couldn't have been less disinterested in who he was throwing to. I totally forgot about the whole thing until.
By the way, we couldn't even see it on the TV broadcast. We had to go on Twitter to find the videos.
Weird.
I hate that.
Weird when you hype that up and you don't show it on the
Right?
broadcast.
Yeah, it is strange.
A lot of complaints over the broadcast.
So let's give Rob some props. He did rock an amazing jacket. This
I know.
powder blue
Jacket.
stars jacket with the maroon Phillies across.
I gotta look at that jacket. That is a strong jacket.
Usually you see the maroon, the burgundy old school starter, but the powder blue's nice.
I need that. That's a nice one.
I got to tell you, I love that jersey. I love the powder blue jersey is nice. You're right. You always see the maroon satin.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the powder blue satin is special.
I like
it's
that.
different.
It's a hard one to pull off. It's hard to keep clean.
Yes.
Powder blue shows the dirt and scuffs.
You guys should have seen Andrew's jersey on Saturday. He wore the Carlton.
Yeah, that's a
I
nice
saw
one.
photos of him. Yeah, he
Maroon,
looks
was
strong.
the maroon pinstripe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice one. The Carlton jersey is a good jersey.
Yeah. We'll keep going with a little fashion because Mr. Owner, Middleton, you see him. I called him after a home run. I like the fact that he was in the stands and he had kind of like a burgundy maroon kind of blazer on, which I thought was nice of him. I don't know if it's the exact old school maroon color, but I'm
pretty close.
Assuming he was wearing it so he could look like, he's the Phillies owner. You can't go black or I like the reddish. I like the registered.
You got to go to colors.
I love that.
And I'm sure that's not a readily accessible area for folks like us, but I'm glad to see him out in the stands with the people.
Yeah, I love that.
Looking at this picture, I got a question for you guys. What did you feel, or how did you feel about the wall behind the batter?
Oh,
weird.
I hated it because I had no one to look at and try and find some
Strange,
nugs.
right? Not having any fans behind them.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Big
It was
blue wall.
weird. Something you're not used to.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing about that. I thought the stadium was cool,
Yeah. I think they did a good job.
but it was different, right? Like it was different.
Yep. The 08 guys were out and about. They look good. They came out strong, the 08 guys. So we got a picture of them hanging out.
We do. Yep.
Chase looks good. Chooch,
They're in good shape.
Hawaiian. J-Roll, Big Piece. And I noticed something odd with Big Piece. Big Piece got big-ass feet. Look at his feet next to
Yeah, man.
J-Roll's.
Yeah, those are some big feet, dude.
J-Roll, it looks like his son.
reason why it's
Looks
called the
like
Big
his son
Piece.
is next to him. He should be Big Feet.
That's wild.
funny.
He's got to be rocking like a
BG.
size 15 there, at least.
Now, is that an optical illusion with the photo, or are they really that big?
I think so.
I don't know. They look pretty gargantuan. I've never noticed Big Piece to have feet that size.
Size 14, boy.
Yeah.
That's
Look
good.
at that.
That's so good.
Look at that. They were monster feet.
I think someone's been listening to what we talk about because this came up on my feed.
What's that?
It's the history of like the pineapple pizza.
Oh, man.
Again with the pineapple.
No, so I
pizza?
just want to set the record
Enough
straight.
with the pineapple
No, we know it
pizza.
sucks,
He's
but
rubbing
it
it in.
originated from Ontario, Canada,
Really?
in the 60s by a Greek immigrant, and it became one of the most popular pizzas in Australia. So I'm just giving you a little facts on the fucking on the
Why I gotta
So
bring back
blame the
pizza up
Australians.
again?
huh?
Blame the
No,
Australians.
Ontario, Canada.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Ontario, Canada. So of course it's Canadian. It makes total sense,
Yeah.
dude. That's all.
Weird
Bring it up 'cause
Canadian
it's
food.
Canadian.
Backwards Canada.
Yes.
Look at that big piece of pineapple on that.
That's
cheese
terrible.
and
I
sauce.
just don't even understand. I don't even understand it. I don't understand why that became a thing. And by the way, if you're the Greeks, you got to stay off that. I
with
love
you.
the Greeks.
Yeah.
You got to stay off. You got to stay off of that. Stay off the pizza. Cultural proprietary.
Yeah.
Got your halal. Come on, you
Stay
can
in
stick
your
with
lane.
that.
Stay in your lane.
You know, nobody does fish diners.
Yeah.
You know, like There's a lot of incredible things.
No Italian hummus. You know, stick with what you do over there.
Wegmans has a good hummus, by the way. Just to let you know.
Salt and vinegar?
I go with the
They
pepper.
sang "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" yesterday, and it was problematic for me. It's a Phillies home game, so they had the 08 guys lead to "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and they let Mr. and Mrs. Met join in on the right.
Yeah, that's terrible.
This is a Philly home game
Yes.
with our World Series champs.
Yeah, we don't need any Mr. and Mrs. Met.
Mrs. Met was trying to look a little sexy too during Take Me Out. She was dancing a little seductively, which was weird.
Mrs. Met wants to be she's died to be part of the Phillies.
Yeah. She wants the
She's
Fanatics.
switching teams, Mrs. Met. She loves the Fanatic. We know about this.
She's going to be
tryst.
Mrs. Fanatic soon.
We saw the trysts.
Yes,
All
right.
right. The trysts. All right. Mr. Met is out. Oh, man.
Hey, Bryce Harper has 1,000 career walks, and other players who got 1,000 walks by his age, it's an impressive list. Mickey Mantle, Mel Ott, Eddie Yost, Jimmy Fox, Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, Frank Thomas, Eddie Matthews, Ricky Henderson, Adam Dunn,
Wow.
Lou Gehrig,
How did Adam
and
Dunn
Bryce
get
Harper.
1,000 walks, man?
Right,
He was a power.
they're
back
like
in the day,
all Hall of Famers except for Adam Dunn, and Bryce will be a Hall of Famer. But
wow, that's a great list.
It's awesome.
Hey, by the way, just curious, they played Sweet Caroline.
that's one of my list says. What was that about? And they acted like the broadcast was like, oh, they even brought Sweet Caroline over with
like,
them.
that's
Who
not-
did?
That's Boston, right?
Right.
Yeah,
It's
who brought that?
Boston. That's not Philadelphia.
Or New York. It made no sense.
Yeah, I didn't understand the Sweet Caroline thing.
Mm-mm.
I mean, like, I figured they would have played Dancing on My Own, right? I mean, right now, that's kind of our...
The only time they made mention of during Stott's walk up.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that song.
And they brought it up.
That's awesome.
You can't ignore it. It's so loud when
Right.
everybody sings it.
Yeah.
And there's no Mets fans singing that. That's all Phillies fans.
Ours. Yes.
They make them throw up.
Yeah. So I referenced this earlier, but here's a little back in the day moment, a little photo of Bryce at 16 on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh, I
This
did
is
see
15 years
Wow.
ago. 15 years ago yesterday.
Chosen one.
The chosen one. Look at that.
And he's a Philly.
15 years ago. We need to do a Celebrate Bryce Day. Maybe tomorrow we do Bryce Day. He's amazing, dude.
Yes.
He really is. By the way, back in the day moment brought to you by Rite Aid. RiteAid.com. No, dude, it's why we were talking about the greatest free agents, and we had that debate to start the show.
Mhm.
Free agent trade. Moses technically was a trade, even though, they kind of forced that trade. It's not even close. I still think Bryce is number one.
Because
I'm trying to look back and be objective.
Yeah.
Pete and all those great sides, Lindros. Bryce is number one.
So I threw that same question to the chat on YouTube here. So one name I'm curious what you think, because they brought it up about Nick Foles when we reacquired him.
Nah.
You're not putting him in there?
No.
Brought us a Super Bowl.
No.
In the top 10, you're not putting him in?
But he's
I'm not saying top 5
but he's
because he
not
hasn't done a
really.
lot.
He wasn't a high-profile signing.
He wasn't.
The circumstances brought him to light. But I'm talking about a high-profile acquisition. He was not a high-profile. He just came back to be a backup. I'm talking about a high-profile acquisition.
A lot of people seem to agree with your list, though, in the comment section.
A lot of Moses, Pete Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's a great conversation, but I think you struck gold with Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
And if he ends up winning one here, I think that solidifies number one spot.
Yes,
That
obviously,
100%.
obviously.
100%.
Yes.
So a lot of fans yesterday of Clemson baseball. They got a relief pitcher came in the game. Jersey might be a popular one. Drew Titsworth. 6'3", freshman, 230, throws a little gas. But the old Titsworth was a trending yesterday.
Oh, that's
After he came in the
fabulous.
game.
It's not even
Just
that
goes to show you, all of humanity is sophomore.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If it's trending, we're all that way.
And look at his number. The jersey looks like a pair.
Yeah,
It's
I was about
double
to say,
zeros.
the double zero. Yep.
the tits. He knows how to do it, baby.
Hey, let me ask you. I loved morning baseball.
Love it.
It was good.
Love it.
10
was
o'clock
good.
start time.
Dude, it goes back to why I
Trigger
love
with
the
the
London games
coffee.
in football.
I think a football's too aggressive for Sunday morning. Baseball was
It's relaxing.
perfect. You ease into your Sunday morning.
What's
Nice little
aggressive?
baseball while you read the news. You'd pull out your Sunday Times or Sunday Inquirer. You got the baseball game on in the back. It's perfect. Football's too intense, too much.
I just like I'm like, listen,
I don't like the
tradition,
morning football.
like the afternoon, like the night football, but I'm with you. That's why I like on Saturday mornings in the fall. I like
I
watching
don't
the
want
Prem.
the Eagles to be at 10 o'clock, but I love an NFL
like
game at 10 o'clock.
You like that early one?
I love it.
I prefer the
Love it.
baseball.
I love a sporting event at odd times. I want a 10 a.m. game, baseball, football. I don't care what you play.
I
No,
want,
look,
I
on
want
a Sunday
every,
morning, I
every
love it.
baseball game Sunday should be 10 a.m. for me. Because then it opened up the whole day. Because football, you have all day to watch. But baseball, you can still go out and enjoy the whole day. The whole afternoon. It's almost like date night. If you and your partner do the business before the date night, before you go to dinner, get it out of the way. There's no pressure then the rest of the date. You can eat a big meal, get loaded, carry a load on, enjoy the whole night. This was baseball was done by 1 o'clock.
First of all, I like the capper of it, leading up to the crescendo.
You like the crescendo? Yeah. Sometimes you got to worry. You get too banged up, or buy too much. You eat a
Listen, you should
big
know your
meal.
way around by now. Come on,
You
man.
can't eat a big
Yeah,
meal when
you
you
get
know
carried-
that's going to happen, man.
Yeah,
You're
big
going to have
meal.
that sluggish tummy.
I like getting out of the way early and then just enjoying the whole afternoon.
See,
I
when
like that.
I'm a crescendo man.
Am I server
Go
days?
out with a bang.
My server days.
I pass out.
In my server days, when I worked at an Italian restaurant, I never understood the first date because like these people would order like bowls of pasta, and they're on their first date or the first couple dates. You know what happens? After things happen, you got a bowl of pasta in your
Yeah, no
belly.
one wants to feel sexy with a bowl of pasta in their gut.
Yeah, I know. You got to go light fare.
Yeah.
That's
Or
why you
fish.
got to go tapas.
Ah,
Like the tapas
There you
date
go.
is a big deal. You little pickies.
All right.
Hey, that's a good move, yeah.
Yeah, sushi's a good
Dating
one.
advice
Yeah.
from
Sushi's
the cuz.
Yeah, well,
Or
you
just
got-
drinks. Don't do any food, just do
well,
drinks.
you need pickies because you drinks get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you drink it on an empty stomach.
Yeah,
and
that's
the,
no
the
good.
old,
Well,
the old
I'm
whiskey
Irish,
Johnson
so,
comes out.
I can hold it.
I can hold it.
All right. Best and worst of the weekend. Let's
man.
get it. What do you got, JP? What was your best of the weekend?
Do you have that video, Andrew? Or
I can pull it up. Yep, give me 1
Okay.
second.
all right, so we'll set it up here. So obviously, Friday was out. Thursday night, went to a concert. Freaking awesome. Wells Fargo Center. Never seen so many Colombians in Philly. Made me so proud of being Colombian.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the best part about it, so the artist name is Fade. So he's been blowing up over the last year. His thing is green. Everyone wears green to his concerts.
Oh, really?
There's lighting in green. So this kid on TikTok I'm getting his name here on TikTok. So this kid on TikTok, his name is @4Rel Thomas, I'm sorry. Because he brought in that exact Eagles flag right behind you. He brought a Kelly Green Eagles flag
Really?
to give to the artist. The artist then grabbed it, and he was having a good time with the flag, and it was so dope seeing a Colombian artist. And we got the video
Yep,
here.
here we go.
Colombian repping the birds.
Oh, there you go. That's
Nice.
awesome,
Good connection
man.
for me.
That's a good best. Very good. Love it. BJ, we got.
I go with the Fanatic. He just killed it this weekend.
did.
I had some good moments this weekend, but the Fanatic was just everything. He is the number one mascot in all of sports, and he really just shined this weekend.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was all over. He
Yep.
was great.
Yeah.
And everybody loved him.
He's hysterical.
No, everybody loved him.
When he just stood by, did you see when he just stood behind him like a guard?
Oh, he was the best.
They were
yeah.
trying to make him
We
laugh.
showed that the other day. It was fantastic. He was the best.
You know, during the broadcast, he stood behind
Oh,
the
yeah,
broadcast,
yeah,
and they were
yeah,
trying to make
yeah.
him laugh. He wouldn't move.
Yeah, he's the greatest.
Perfect scene for the Fanatic.
Yeah.
All right, worst.
All right, so I want to go to a little bit close to home for you. So recent soccer legends, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, were just retired, but he did play in the United States, and he did call out youth sports because, like, in the ballpark, just roughly, how much is it to put Massimo in a baseball league, the travel league? That just a rough ballpark.
It's a couple $1,000.
So he brought the fact that he had to put. Now he has the money, obviously, but he put his kids into a youth soccer league over in LA. He was playing in LA. He spent $3,500 just for the season for his kid to play. So this is my worst because I think sports is so important for youth, right? I think it teaches them responsibility, it teaches them discipline, and just great life lessons, and it just gets them out, keeps them out of trouble, keeps them fit. And I just think that it's so expensive. And I keep hearing these prices. Dude. These prices of putting these kids in sports.
Forget about it, because you don't have an idea. That's just the entries, and then listen, they could play rec, and rec's not expensive. But if you're talking about baseball, football, like the equipment, these bats are ridiculous.
I think I had the conversation with Andrew, like growing up.
And then if you want specialized training.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was blessed enough to play 2 years of hockey, and thank my dad for putting me in it, because like the equipment is equipment ridiculous. So
ice time.
The ice
time
my God. Is like a couple thousand.
Travel.
Yeah.
There's a joke going around like in Instagram. There's a guy who does his thing. He's like, all right, this weekend's tournament is in Nicaragua. Like we're going to Manila, right? Like, let's go. We're going to go to Arkansas. And then after Arkansas, we're going to go to Des Moines, Iowa, and then Manila in the Philippines. Like, it's true. Like, that's what these travel tournaments are insane.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Georgia.
That's why I love Ed Slater's foundation.
Or whatever it is, not Tennessee. Yeah, there's a place in Tennessee that is like Pigeon Fork.
Yeah, that's what's called Pigeon Fork, Tennessee.
Oh my God!
Sounds
what
like
a name.
Song, Pigeon Fork, Tennessee.
So that's my worst. Zlatan Ibrahimovic calling out the youth system here. I think it was a good one. Let's allow these kids the opportunity to play the sports.
Yeah. What do you got?
So I went to Donde Festival, the largest celebration of African culture in the country, and I bought boiled peanuts.
Really?
And I am not a fan of boiled peanuts.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are they even like?
People like that.
never
Down
had that.
south, they put it in Coke. Coca-Cola.
Really?
Yes. It's a thing. I mean, it's actually
like
vile.
when you crack open the peanut, water comes out.
Yeah.
And the peanut
so it's a
itself
messy
is
thing.
all mushy.
Yeah.
And like soggy.
No, part of the charm of the peanut is the crunch.
Yeah.
Nobody wants you.
I didn't know what to expect from it at all.
I don't know. People like it.
I didn't know that the liquid permeated inside and made it all mushy and
I think
weird.
it's not even gross. Yeah. Permeate.
I know.
Sorry, man.
No, it sounds that.
Give me my roasted peanuts.
Yeah, give me the crunch. You got to get the crunch of the peanut.
Yeah, that was.
No,
bad.
I'm with
It's one of my favorite underrated ballpark snacks too.
Is the peanut?
Oh yeah, I get a bag every game.
Yes. Dude, without a doubt. Crack them open.
Yeah,
throw the shells.
the crack is the best.
Yeah,
I'm just covered in peanut dust.
Oh, yeah.
It's all over me. It's in the lady in front of me's hair.
I love it. I love it. All right, big week. We got off day, Phillies, and then Boston and Baltimore. Speaking of two great trips,
dude,
Fenway
great ballparks.
and Camden Yards.
I wish I lived like a Vinny Chase entourage kind of life. So me and us, we could all just went to London, to Boston, to Baltimore. It'd be a great 10 days.
Yeah,
some great travel.
That's a great ballpark. I used to live down there for like 2 years doing some work, and we would go there every once in a while. Beautiful ballpark.
Which one?
Camden Yards.
Camden Yards.
Yeah, beautiful ballpark.
That's awesome. That's a great and great baseball cities.
Oh yeah.
You know, Boston and Baltimore.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for watching. As always, we love you guys, all right? Be careful, be safe, and we'll see you in the morning.
Go Oilers.
We all silly like the mayor.